Hi, welcome to this episode of Springdale Today. My name is Mary Jordan. I'm your host. Joining us on this session of Springdale Today is Tyson School of Innovation esports coach and computer science teacher Burl Sniff, D2SI esports athlete Ky'Andre Wawrzaszek, and D2SI graduate and former esports team member Anthony White. D2SI esports program is one of the best in the nation, and we're going to chat with our coach and competitors today and just find out a little bit about the program, some of the cool things they're doing, as well as the opportunities that esports presents for Springdale students. Thank you guys for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have this conversation just because it's about video games and all the things associated with it and where they've gone. So I've got to ask the most important question of the day to start this off, and that is, what is your favorite video game?
I'd have to say my esport of choice, as well as my favorite video game, is League of Legends. It's what I competed in high school the whole time, and I still play it to this day, like pretty often. So definitely the most memories I've made, like the most real friendships I have from a video game are because of League of Legends. So I'd say that's my favorite game.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing League of Legends for probably 13 years now. It's been a long time. So that's up there for sure. Classically, I would say maybe something like Chrono Trigger would be my favorite video game, an old school role-playing game. But yeah, probably League of Legends as well.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite games for like esports would be League of Legends, because I started playing that from 6th grade, and it's just really gotten me further.
And help us understand what League of Legends is, right? Because that is a big game for what you guys are doing. What kind of game is that?
Anthony, you want to take this one here?
So it's not like it's called a MOBA, which is a massive online battle arena, which is basically just like fighting other players. Like you basically start off in the game and you defeat minions to get gold and buy items that make your character stronger, and you get levels, and then you get more skills so that you can beat up other people better. And the goal is it's like 5v5, so there's 5 people on each team, and you basically just want to gain as many resources as possible, deny as many resources as possible from the enemy team in order to put yourself in a strong position to push into their base and destroy their objectives.
Yeah, I like to sometimes describe it as reverse tug of war with the team, because you're pushing into the enemy base as opposed to pulling them towards you. And then, yeah, doing what he said, basically.
See, I'm smarter already. I didn't know any of that before we started. And I'm going to tell you, my favorite video game is Ratchet and Clank.
Oh, nice.
All right. So a little old school, but right, it just never fails to be entertaining.
Yeah.
All right. So what about gaming system? Do you guys prefer a system, a PC? What do you play on?
I play on PlayStation a lot, because that's like mainly what I'm available to. So I play a lot of like PlayStation games, like old PlayStation games, newer ones. So to say I'm working on trying to get a PC so I can just practice more at home. But yeah,
I like all systems that, basically everything from Raspberry Pi, Nintendo Switch. But I have to say my favorite is PC for sure, because you can play every game. You can play emulators. It's more than just a gaming system. You can do your taxes if you need to.
I've had a PC since as soon as I was able to get a job in high school. That was the first thing I got money for, was to build my own computer. So I've been exclusively on a computer since then. But before that, I played a ton of games on an Xbox 360 for like probably the better half of a decade. And so I'd say that's my favorite console of all time, but I'm a PC gamer.
Now, would you say League of Legends is the game that got you guys all into esports, or was there a particular game that really got you hooked?
For me, it was 100% League, because whenever we first started the program, there was 2 games. There was Rocket League and League of Legends. And I know Rocket League's super fun and a lot of people really love it. I've never liked playing car games. And so immediately after seeing that those 2 were the only options, I realized I had to learn how to play League of Legends. And so from then on, yeah, League was what got me into esports and got me dedicated to everything. So
now, Anthony, you now work at Archer Learning Center on the IT team, right?
Yep.
When were you on the D2SI esports team?
Since 8th grade. So I think that would have been 2017, 2018, about then.
All right. And when did you graduate?
2022.
Right. And then Ky'Andre, how long have you been playing?
I've been playing. Wait, I'm in my 11th year. 5 years
Yeah,
since
sixth grade. Yeah.
since I started.
So why? Why esports as far as things that you could be spending your time, investing your time in? Why that?
Whenever it comes to investing my time, I like to have time to invest seriously and time to invest in something that allows me to open my mind up and get more of like an abstract view of the world. So League of Legends and esports helps me see a different side of what I normally like to study. It's what helps me realize more people have more plans with themselves instead of just studying, just looking for a job, just trying to succeed in a field that's education. People who try to succeed in a field that can provide them something to lift them up for the rest of their lives.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. What about you, Anthony? What got you hooked on esports?
So I've always been into video games. Like parents always tell me stories of how when I was 3 years old, my dad was playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the TV, and I went and picked up the controller and started doing better than him. And like, so I've been playing video games forever. Like, it's been a part of my hobbies and everything as long as I can remember. And in high school, I kind of had I started hearing about esports in the school environment. Like, I had been to tournaments before for games that I had played by myself, like outside of school grounds, just on my own time for fun. And I found that there was really like high school programs, like kids in high school that were dedicating themselves to playing games competitively. And that was extremely exciting to me, the idea of like how something being tangible for all those video games playing. Because I've always played video games, I always wanted to win, but the idea of it like being a team effort and it being a contribution amongst multiple people and everything, and like showing up every day, improving, and just having a reason to play the game, like a real physical, tangible reason other than just for fun, was something that like I definitely wanted to get into, and I wanted to find like-minded people that felt the same way. So yeah, that's what got me into esports.
And then Burl, it's kind of a unique thing to coach. What made you decide to coach this team?
Well, I'm a little older than these guys, so I grew up watching StarCraft esports. It's the older game, but when I was in high school, it was really popular in Asia, in Korea. And so I just, I was a part of a few leagues for a game called Counter-Strike, which is still around today. People still play it competitively. And so like ever since I was in high school, I was also trying to be a part of esports teams and competing with friends and that kind of thing. And so when I became a teacher, I immediately wanted to start, a video game club. I wasn't even really thinking esports yet. I just wanted to kind of get something going where, like he was saying, people could come together and experience it together and get behind something together, be part of a team. And so from there, as esports has grown, it's the opportunities have opened up for college, for jobs, for esports. The industry is huge now, and not even just players. I mean, there's so many jobs, broadcasting, social media. There's so many different jobs associated with the esports realm now that I think, if we're not taking advantage of all these opportunities, then what are we doing? So I wanted to become part of it and help grow that at the school level and just, help promote it and create opportunities for kids.
Well, and then does DTSOI have more traditional sports as well?
We do. Our cross country team is pretty big. A lot of our tennis players play on the Springdale High team. So we're slowly growing. We don't have traditional sports like Springdale and HAR-BER do. We don't have a football team. Our soccer program is huge, but it's not the same, leagues that the divisions that the other high schools play in. But we have a lot of athletic programs that are doing really well, but not quite traditionally like the other high schools do. So esports is a big part of, our competitive and team sports scene.
Well, as I understand it too, though, your athletes, if they want to play basketball, football, pretty much any other sport that's not offered at D2SI, they can play it at another district school such as Springdale High School or HAR-BER
Yeah,
High School?
absolutely. And even the junior high, since we have 6 through 12 at our school, we have a lot of kids who play football for Lakeside or for Sonora. So yeah, they can be involved across the district and in the different team sports.
And then, so tell me a little bit about the progression. How many kids did you have start with? Where are you at now with the program?
Yeah, recruiting kids is always one of those things. It's hit or miss. A lot of kids, gamers really like the game that they like to play, you know? And so when they find out we don't offer the game that they like to play, a lot of times they're not interested in continuing on, which is, I get it. But I would say when I first started, we had a decent amount of kids. I took over the program. I don't know, what grade were you in at that point? 10th grade, maybe?
It would have been 9th or 10th.
Yeah, 9th or 10th grade. And we probably had maybe 10 or 15 kids. And then, I opened it up to the middle schools when Ky'Andre and a bunch of the 6th graders joined. And so from there, every year is different. Some years we have, 30 plus kids. This year we have about 25. So it fluctuates depending. But more kids, every year, kids that come to DTSOI 6th and 7th grade or higher, they come and they ask about the program and they're really interested, and they come to my interest sessions, because I hold interest sessions sometimes for kids who are curious but not quite sure about it, to just educate them about the program. So yeah, I would say it's grown quite a bit over the years.
All right, cool. And you said you had multiple teams too, right, within the program?
Yeah, so we offer different titles that students can play according to Play Versus, which is kind of this governing body that the Arkansas Activities Association works with, and whatever titles that they offer, we try to offer at the school. To a point, I have some help. I have other teachers that help with the program. Ideally, we'd offer everything, but sometimes that's hard to, get a team, make sure you have all the software and equipment and everything. So we do offer Rocket League, League of Legends, Super Smash Bros, Mario Kart, Splatoon. So 5 titles, that's already kind of a lot. And we have a team for each of those titles, at least one team for each right now. So
very good. So the teams are based on the game.
yes. And different titles, different games have different number of players on the team. So like League of Legends has 5 players on a team, Rocket League has 3, Splatoon has 4. So you get a mix of the different kids and teams and numbers.
The team has been ranked as one of the best in the nation. Anthony, what was it like for you to be at the beginning of that and kind of see where the team has gone and what it's become?
It was honestly the getting to be a part of esports growing at SOI was awesome, because it started off with me and one of my friends in an East classroom telling our East facilitator that we wanted to do esports. We wanted to do it as a program and everything, because we didn't have a team or anything. There wasn't any kind of esports or video game club or anything at SOI. And so we brought it up to our East teacher, because, that's where you do projects for the school and everything. And, right, like as we were doing work, like I was talking to that friend about setting up a Smash Bros tournament to prove that like there was a group of kids that would want to play video games at school and like would want to show up and be involved in something like that. So we were going to run a Smash Bros tournament, and as we were planning it and setting it up and finalizing it, our facilitator came to us and was like, "Hey, so they're doing a huge meeting, AAA, and we're going to have official like state sanctioned esports, and do you want to be a part of that and help me get all that stuff done?" And so, yeah, totally, I did it. And so we started from like being in the East room playing on Macintoshes. Like 10 of us would be playing on Macs. There'd be like an English teacher in there that wasn't like didn't really want to be there, but like the kids enough to be in there. And then now it's like we got a dedicated coach, and we get jerseys, and you get to kind of travel for games every now and then. It's like I've heard there's a big screen at SOI now dedicated.
Yeah, in the East cafeteria.
Yeah, so definitely improvements. I don't know. It feels really good to have been a direct part of something I love growing in a place that like I got to grow as well. Like it's awesome to see like Ky'Andre's here now, and he's a senior. And whenever I started, he was an 8th grader playing the same game as me. And so now he's in his senior year playing the same
Junior.
game. My bad. Junior year playing the same game as me. So I don't know. It's really cool to see that effect of my passion is still there. Obviously, it wasn't just me, but the fact that I got to be a part of that. And yeah.
I always like to be at the start of something. It's always fun to be at the start of something. So now I touched on a little bit and mentioned that your team does really well. What can you share with me about some of its successes?
So like USA Today put out our rankings of the best programs in the nation, and I think it was like a 4-way tie or 7-way tie for top 10. But yeah, no, that's still huge. Thinking about all the schools in the nation and how many of them have esports teams, it's pretty great. And every year I would say we do pretty well. The year that Anthony, with the last 2 years of his high school, like 11th and 12th grade, we just did really well, especially in League of Legends. We did really well in the other sports titles as well, but we didn't get the trophies. We didn't get first or runner up, but we were consistently top 5 in some of the other titles, which is great. But yeah, their team, they were able to just win 4 state titles, which I think elevated our status a lot. And then on top of that, Play Versus had what they called the Play Versus Cup, which was a national tournament. And so they played schools from California, from Texas, from, Illinois, all these schools. And I think that's what really got us on the radar of, USA Today and all these colleges. Like he mentioned, several colleges reaching out to him to recruit him. And it was because of the success they had as a team. So yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with their League of Legends team doing really well, winning those consecutive titles.
It's interesting because it sounds like esports offers an opportunity that traditional sports don't, in that if you're playing football, you're playing within this region, teams that are next door, essentially. Whereas you guys have the ability to become visible to people around the world when you play. And so that's an exposure that traditional athletes don't get, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. What was it like for you, Anthony, to be a part of the team when all those cool things were happening?
Oh, man. It was like my sole dedication to win those tournaments. I really mean it. That was like all I focused on, was winning those games and everything. Before we actually won those 4 titles, Play Versus did another tournament called the Summer Showdown, which was the first time they ever did like letting us beat people from other states. And we took out like a team from Maine. And the final team, we beat a like private school from Oregon to win that one. And that was our first ever tournament win. And that like completely realizing that I could win, because League was the first thing that I ever felt like I had like limitless improvement potential at. Like I just had to keep playing and keep grinding and getting better. And that was like something that really changed my mindset in life, is like just continue to go on with stuff, even if it's hard. Like there's always a way to improve. You just keep going and always getting better. Like just the realization that I could be that good at something was something that I hadn't gotten to feel anywhere else. And so once I won that first tournament, I was like, I'm never losing again. Like I can't let that happen. So we won the next 4 seasons in a row. We had a flawless one in there where we didn't drop a game, even in regular season. In playoffs, we went through completely flawlessly. So we had a perfect season, didn't drop a single game. And that was like it really was just all the work combined from everybody, because it was the same team for almost 4 years, same 5 of us for almost 4 years. And so it was just the buildup of all of us caring so much about the game. We were always talking about it. We were always coming up with new strategies to win our games and everything. And those guys became like my best friends, because I was really spending like all of my time with them over and over again, because our sole focus was winning those tournaments. So, I don't know, man. That was like, it was awesome. It was awesome to win all those times and be a part of all that. Like, definitely a highlight of my high school career. We'll say that.
And I was going to say, as a teacher, coach, facilitator, whatever you want to call, seeing these guys, the amount of dedication they had to just working as a team, planning as a team, researching the other teams they were going against and planning around that. I mean, it just blew me away to see, them come together like that and work like that together. was really cool to see.
Well, in Ky'Andre, you hear about this and the success of the team. How does that motivate you over the next couple of years as a competitor?
I don't want to bring disgrace upon our school's name in a sense. Like, Anthony had such an. I remember like watching Anthony play the game with all of his friends and with his team and just getting better and going further, and just witnessing him try as hard as he did just made me want to play more, made me want to win more, made me want to make sure our school stayed the best in the state.
I think that with teammates and coaches like you guys, that you have a really good chance of doing that. And I can't wait to see, because the season just started for you guys, did it not?
Yeah, it started pretty recently. I think so it starts with a preseason, and those games don't technically count towards the season total. But I think actually earlier we said you guys played one game, but I think you've played more than that, because when I looked at the record, it was 5-1. So yeah, right now they're ranked second place in the state, and they haven't played the first place team yet, so that could change.
Who's the first place team?
It's Morrilton. So yeah, Morrilton. They have a really good program there. Their superintendent, from what I heard, is a gamer, and he's really built this esports lab for them, and they're investing a lot into the program. So they have a pretty good team. So I think we can beat them though. So we'll see.
Watch out, Morrilton, we're coming for you. All right, so help me understand a little bit about what the setup looks like when you're doing an esports competition. What does it look like for you guys?
So as far as our program at SOI, we have all these accolades. They've done all these things, amazing things, but it's really just a computer lab with a bunch of kids that come in and play video games. They're communicating because they're right next to each other. There's a lot of team planning and communication skills that they need to have in order to be successful. But at the end of the day, it's really them coming into the computer lab, setting up, getting ready to play the game. At least that's my perspective. These guys might have more to share about that, but
I was going to say the same thing. For the most part, it's just a computer. Wherever you are, it's like, even if you're competing like at your house digitally, like it's just a computer. Or if you're at a school and you've got multiple computers lined up and you've got everybody with you, it's just a computer. Like that's the way to put it.
Yeah, when we're at our best, I would say like we'll stream the matches. I have casted a lot of our matches in the past. Ky'Andre's casted some of the matches in the past. So we get students involved that way when we're doing our best. Ideally we'd stream every single game and cast every game, and we'd have a video on demand record on our Twitch channel, but it doesn't always work out that way. Some days we're busy, some days we can't stream. But we, at the end of the day, as long as the team shows up and they log in and play the game, that's basically how it goes.
Well, how is the event scored? Is it like one round, or do you do multiple rounds and add up points, or how do you get determined to be the winner of any particular round or sessions?
So for League of Legends, it works that there's a regular season, which is basically just you play against like 8 or so random teams throughout the weeks, and you get a standing basically. Like it'll track your wins and your losses, and the more wins you have, the higher of a seed you have. And then it goes to playoffs, and then it just works like a normal tournament bracket from there. If you have a higher seed, you get placed against lower seeded teams, and so you have an easier run to the finals. So yeah, just basically a standard season.
It's a best of 3, so they play, at least 2 games, 3 if 1-1 kind of thing. So that's for League of Legends. And then Rocket League's a little different. Those games go a little faster, so those are best of 5. But the season's similar in the structure of it. So they you tally up points and wins and losses, and then your playoff seed is based on how you performed in the regular season. And then the playoffs are a tournament to see who's the winner at the end.
Anthony, you said something earlier that made me question, are you only competing against schools when you guys are playing, or might you be competing from somebody who's playing in their living room?
If you're playing in specifically like play versus esports, like what SOI does, you are only playing against another 5 team of students from a school. That's how it works. If you're you can play like tournaments against other people like that wouldn't be from a school. But if you're doing the school sanctioned esports stuff, you're going against another team of 5 schools.
But to touch on what you're saying, during COVID, obviously there were a lot of restrictions and things. So they did open it up to where students could compete from their houses. And so your coach still has to coordinate with the team. And so you'll make sure you'll contact everybody, make sure they're all online, make sure the player logging in is the person who they say they are. There's some ethical guidelines as well. So some schools do have kids who just play from home all the time, which is fine as long as they verify they are who they are. So esports is a little different from traditional sports in that way that like you might have all 5 of your kids playing from different locations, but they're still communicating together. They're still talking to each other. They don't have to all be on site together. Ideally they are, and they're right next to each other and they're talking and having a good time. But sometimes kids have to play from home or they're sick, they're out of school, whatever it is. So it's nice to have that option.
That's crazy. When you consider, just how far the world has come. So how intense do these competitions get?
They can get pretty intense sometimes. Like whenever we like it by intense is like not physically, of course, but mentally, it can be pretty straining. Because if one person's doing bad, it's gonna affect the whole team. And if someone's running late, or if we're missing a person, and we just have to play the game as is, it's a lot of mental strain on the team. But it's also a very big confidence booster. Whenever we win a game, and it's not a hard game, but it's not an easy game, it's a lot more better feeling in a sense. It makes us have more confidence as players to win more and just do more. So, yeah.
Are there opportunities presented for students after high school for esports? What can you tell us about that, Burl?
Yeah, absolutely. We have colleges reach out all the time in the state just to come visit our program and check it out and talk to students because they want to recruit for their collegiate programs. There's scholarship opportunities all over the place. As esports grows as a whole, throughout the world, I think more and more colleges are getting on board. There were a lot of early adapters in the college realm who, knew where this was going and knew that there are these professional organizations that students could work and eventually become a part of. And so you see a lot of those colleges that have been around for a long time, but every year there's more colleges that have esports programs that are growing, and they offer scholarship opportunities, so you can get paid to play video games for a college in a sense, which is really cool to see. We just had a kid last year who signed onto John Brown University, and they came and they brought the tablecloth. We weren't a part of the big signing like at the the Springdale gym or HAR-BER gym. But we had our own little ceremony. We had the tablecloth. They had the contract out for him. He signed it. They gave him his little jersey. Like, it was cool to see. So yeah, I think opportunities are very in line with traditional athletics as far as scholarships and teams and things like that go. Not every school has a program, but more and more every year.
So I guess anytime someone's playing video games, they can just tell their parents they're doing college prep work.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I tell them. Like, see, and then that's what the kid last year, Andres Diaz, that's what he was telling his parents the whole time. He's like, see, I told you it would pay off someday. And Anthony can speak about that a lot too, because he got a lot of opportunities offered to him after all their success on the team. So
I had a lot of, I got reached out to by Hendrix and NWAC, as well as some other out-of-state schools that I didn't go to that were looking to pick me up for their teams. So definitely opportunities to have gone to school for esports. But I also had quite a bit of opportunities given to me that weren't necessarily college, but because of esports. I worked at a local gaming shop that ran a couple of our tournaments that took place. We played a couple tournaments there, and they ended up hiring me, and I got to work there. And That was because I was in esports and I had established myself kind of in that area of playing video games and taking it seriously. So I got to work at a video game store and all that. And then my next job I got because my dear coach, Mr. Sniff, recommended it for me in the district. So I got that. And I'd say that's because of esports too. So maybe not necessarily school, but I got connections and stuff like that through playing esports.
There are also like like in the soccer world, there's these academies that players go to kind of work into becoming a part of a professional team at some point. And esports has a lot of these academies out there as well. So even if it's not directly college related, there's opportunities for these academies to scout you as well and recruit you for those, which eventually lead to like being an esports professional. So even if it's not jobs or college, there's also these kind of academy opportunities as well.
Gosh, I'm so glad we had this conversation today. I'm learning so much. Now, Ky'Andre, have you seen any doors open up for you based on esports?
Not just based off esports, but just like my regular school life. I've had a lot more people talk to me about it. I've had the principals ask me if we're doing good. I've had other administration come up to me and ask how our esports team is doing. And my response will always stay the same. We're doing good as we always do. And besides colleges, I've been hit up by a college in New York, been emailed by Hendrix, Colby, and Conway, Mississippi, Missouri, Oklahoma. See, and that's just from being in the esports team and being like a part of teams in SOI.
Good for you. And you're a junior now, and colleges are already looking at you.
Yes, ma'am.
That is really fantastic. I hope you'll keep us informed so that we can know what happens to you next. And so these are very healthy byproducts of esports. And a lot of times video games get a bad rap. And individuals can get immersed in them in unhealthy ways. But there's some other positive growth and traits that can come from esports and gaming. What can you tell us about that, Burl?
Yeah, I would say esports has all of the same benefits as traditional sports beside the physical aspect of it. We're not working out. Ideally, I'd like to say every practice we stretch and warm up and, make sure we don't get carpal tunnel and all these things. It doesn't always happen. So we're definitely, we don't have that physical aspect of it, but everything else, the communication, the teamwork, the leadership opportunities. I mean, I saw Anthony start as a kind of a more quiet 9th, 10th grader, emerge into this leader who was coaching his team all the time. And so there's so many opportunities and soft skills and things like that are a benefit of esports that don't, isn't the physical side, but definitely the same as any other sport would have.
To like back up what he's saying, the soft skills, I pointed out earlier that like it was one of the first things in life that I truly felt like I was better than like most of the average person. Like truly that I would be one of the best League of Legends players in a room almost anywhere I went is how I felt. And that might not necessarily be the truth, but like it taught me a resilience that I have carried throughout life with me. Like that's one of the reasons why I started going to college, is because I realized if you can continue, like I can do hard things. I can do things that seem difficult and impossible at first. Because whenever we first started, we lost like almost immediately. Like it did not go well. It looked terrible. We were all brand new to League of Legends and hadn't played before. And there was like, it was a complete stomp. Like our first playoffs, it went really bad and we lost terribly. But that loss and that feeling of, oh man, like all that work we put in didn't really mean anything. And to come back at it again and want to do better. And really like that was a skill that I learned from League of Legends and esports in general that I've carried with me and I continue to use to this day. And I hopefully will refine it further,
And going back to kind of what Ky'Andre was saying about, having that mental drain, I've seen kids who are just bubbly and excited and loving to play the game, in those tense games where you're losing and you're down and everybody kind of shuts down and gets quiet. And then you really see them start to develop this resiliency like he's talking about, because it can be mentally draining. And, when no one's talking, something's wrong. And so trying to remotivate them to carry on. And I always like to say on those tough games, like, these are the ones that make you the better player. Like the ones that come easy, that you just win easily, they don't really teach you a lot, So these games that are tough and are hard fought, like those are the ones that are going to teach you the resilience and make you a better player, make you a better person.
Ky'Andre, have you discovered any ways in which you've grown, or esports has done a little bit more to help you?
Yes, man. It's whenever I first started, I'd always picked up games easily as a kid, like no matter what it was, computer, like console. League of Legends was the most humbling experience of my life. I got bashed the first ever game I played by Anthony and the team. It was me, a group of 4 other people, and we were all friends, and we played, and we got destroyed. And I was just like, I wasn't expecting to get beat this bad. I thought I was going to do better.
They were smack talking, but I remember that's why they got beat so bad. It's like so much they stood a chance.
No, it was humbling because I had never been beaten so bad in the game before. I've never been humbled in the sense of, you're not good at this like other people are. You get better. Always, like you can always, like Anthony says, you can always improve. And I feel like esports is humbling for a lot of people, because the teams that we go against, if we lose against one, they were better than us. There's nothing other than that. They were better than us. They played better than us. It's like, we need to do better. It's always humbling. And so it's built up me being able to be humble in real world situations, and also just being confident too. Because teams that we know we're going to win against, or we know we're going into a hard game, it gives me confidence to be like, we're going to win this no matter what. So.
And what does the season look like this year then, Burl?
Things have been going well for League of Legends. Our other teams, we had some struggles getting started. Our Splatoon team is doing well now. They have their main players now, and that was a whole challenge just to get that team off the ground. So they're doing well. Rocket League, our middle school team, is doing decently. The high school team, we don't really have one this year, so we're looking to recruit people for that for the next season, for the spring season. But yeah, League of Legends is doing really well. They're ranked second place, like I was saying earlier, in the state. And then we have our Smash Bros team is doing really well as well. They're always, like I was saying, top 5 or so. And it's looking like it's going that way again this year. So hopefully we'll get first in that one too. They're doing really well. I don't think they've lost a game yet. So yeah. And League of Legends has only dropped 1 game, like the best of 2. They've only dropped 1 match. They've won pretty much every other game so far.
The match was a forfeit too.
Yeah, that's a forfeit. We had to forfeit because we had to cancel practice one day, and they weren't able to get home in time to play from home, so we had to forfeit because there is a time limit. They give you so much grace to show up for the match, and if you don't, then it's an automatic forfeit. It makes sense. And we just weren't able to come together that day. But every other match they've won, so it's looking good so far. Fingers crossed, we'll stay on top.
Ky'Andre, do you have any goals or hopes for this season?
To win. To win.
Do you have any personal bests you want to beat?
I want to be a better teammate. I want to be a better team coordinator. It's just like my main goal for this season and the season to come is to be able to lift my team up and have that sense of longing. We have a team member who can't really play from home, but he tries his best. League of Legends created a mobile game. He'll play that just so he can remember characters' abilities. And I feel like us providing him with the support that he needs, because he's a good player, but I feel like us providing him with that support that he needs will make him an even better one. And so my goal is to get everyone on our team at the same level of playing.
That is genuine teamwork. I look forward to you guys are going to kill it this year. I just know you are. I just know you are with attitudes such as this and young athletes who are as motivated and dedicated as you are. You guys have made me so much smarter on esports in general. Is there anything else that you would really want to inform people about, or something that I just didn't think to touch on that's valuable to the conversation?
Whenever you see gaming stereotypes, it's if you play this game, you smell bad. If you play this game, you're not a good person. If you play this game, you don't talk to people the right way. It's never like that. It's who you are as a person creates how you play the game. I can't say I talk the best to people every day, but I know that whenever I play League of Legends, it's a time for me to calm down and just talk normally. And it's just me, a group of guys, and we're just playing. And you can't just base a game and a team or just esports in general as something to be subjected against or to be like only certain people play that. It's something for everyone. It's something anyone could do. There are people who are good at video games every day, but they won't talk up about it or speak up about it, because they're scared to be subjectified. I'm sorry. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, on top of that whole negative stereotype thing, there's also kind of this view that like, oh, it's just video games, and so it's not treated with the same respect as, say, traditional sports. Like, some of the coaches don't get paid. It's not promoted the same. It's not, even though we have the exact same trophies when we win the state championship as, say, the football team, and we have 4 of them in my room back at SOI, it's still looked at as kind of this niche little club thing that doesn't lead to anywhere. But we have scholarships. We have all of the same opportunities that these athletes get from traditional sports, but the light is still not, shined on it. So thank you for having us here and doing this and promoting it, because it really does help get the word out, and hopefully people take it more seriously, because we have kids getting scholarships, we have kids getting all these opportunities. So I hope people take it more seriously. I hope it's invested in the same as all the other traditional sports.
Yeah, I hope so too. Now, and I'm just thinking as you're talking, I imagine it's pretty male dominated as well.
It can be, but actually, there's a lot, like a lot of the coaches in the state, a lot of the esports facilitators are female. And, if you watch professional esports, a lot of the casters and commentators and people are female as well. And, as far as players, it is a little more male dominated. But yeah, absolutely. We would love to have more girls come out, more women come out and join the teams. And we have had a few. More should come though, for sure. Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's just knowing that opportunity is available. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you all for being here and talking with us. And I hope you'll keep me informed, Ky'Andre, as your future. And Anthony, you're still with the district. I'm so thrilled. Please keep us informed what's happening with you and Burl. We cannot wait to see what you guys do this year.
Yeah, if all these guys, I just show up and try to stop them from screaming at each other.
Well, thank you all for being here today. We really appreciate you.
Zero, thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this session. I'm your host, Mary Jordan, and I look forward to talking to you next time on what's happening in Springdale today.
Springdale Today is a production of the Springdale Public Schools Communications Office.
The podcast is hosted by Mary Jordan and is produced and edited by Micah DeLacy.
Be sure to subscribe to Springdale Today for free on your favorite podcast platform.
And don't forget to follow Springdale Today on social media for episode updates
and behind-the-scenes conversations.
Thank you for listening. We hope you join us in the future as we continue to learn about the amazing stories happening in Springdale today.